Hello and welcome to the Society with Fatma Shaheen at PTB World. In a world which is very fastly changing, more particularly because of advancements in technology and social media, it is very important then to sit back and analyze how particularly has Pakistan's not only PR but also marketing industry changed. And this is exactly something upon which we'll be shedding light today. Overall, we'll try and give you a perspective of the changing dynamics of Pakistan's both marketing and PR industry, more so because of the influx of Gen Z, more so because of the influx of modern day young influencers. We'll also try and analyze the overall impact of this marketing and PR strategies on the society at large. Why is it so important today for brands and various businesses to be socially motivated with regards to their advertisement campaigns, with regards to their press releases? In this regard, we'll not only be delving upon the fact that whereas of course at one end technology has triggered economic growth, what it has also brought with it is of course not one, rather various concerns, of which to name a few would be the ability to very quickly damage any brand's reputation. Also concerns which are legitimately so raised with regards to data privacy and breach of data. But all of this today, that too with a very diverse panel. Let me introduce you to my today's panel. My first panelist for the show today is Joshua Javed, who is a publicist and a strategic communications expert. Assalamu alaikum ji, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. Alongside him, I have Faryal Shahid, who's an entrepreneur and she's also an analyst. Assalamu alaikum ji, welcome to the show.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you, Fatma, for having me.
You're most welcome. My third panelist for the show today is Ms. Asma Tariq, who is a creative fashion designer. Assalamu alaikum ji, welcome to the show.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. And via telephone line, we'll be joined by Reema Fareed, who is a senior publicist. Assalamu alaikum ji, welcome to the show. Now to get the conversation started with you, madam, my first question to you would be, we understand that at a very basic level, the primary function or the primary role of any publicist is of course to bridge that gap between the client and the brand or the business that they are catering to. But in the course of doing so, how do you feel a publicist's typical role has changed, more particularly in light of the advancements in technology that we do have today?
Well, these days, social media platforms are an integral part of developing a brand image and its message to the right audience, which resonates with the brand and what it stands for. With time, each and all platforms keep evolving, and so it's highly competitive and demands new concepts and constant new content to portray the correct image of a brand. It's not only the responsibility of a PR publicist, but also the brand and business to know which audience they want to target and develop interesting, captivating content accordingly. The publicist makes sure to steer them in the right direction towards achieving that goal. One has to explain the pros and cons of each social media platforms in accordance to the business at hand. Competition is always healthy and pushes everyone to create new and interesting, captivating content. One has to be absolutely honest and true, not only honest but transparent in what message they're trying to impart, especially where brands are concerned.
Right, madam, your point is noted. To which I'll come to you and I would want you to respond to what she said, because you are a publicist in your own right too here. So when we talk about improving or working on this interaction, something which she rightly so mentioned upon, we have to ensure that that message, that brand ideology is something which is rightly portrayed to the clients and it is honest, it is transparent too. How do you feel this relationship per se evolving over a period of time? Because at least from an objective viewpoint, we understand that there was this time everything was left on the PR agencies, everything was left on the marketing agencies, and the clients used to take a back seat. But now we see even the common man out there, the clients, whoever they may so be, they also have a very active say in whatever the PR strategy is being formulated.
Absolutely, I wholeheartedly agree with what Reema has said. The thing is that, with the advent of social media and the advancements that have been made, it has become extremely easy to, put your word across. And you can actually get to the target audience, and you can get your clients on board. They can actually recommend you what they want to be included in the strategy, whatever they want to be included in the press release. Initially, it used to be all about printing and being word of mouth. but now everything has switched to being digital, and that is something which has helped brands and clients.
But one more thing that we have seen emerging over a period of time is the fact that we see young people like yourself, especially those belonging to the Gen Z, they've also made their mark when it comes to being successful entrepreneurs, publicists like yourself too, and because of that also the PR landscape, that in itself has changed.
Yes, it has, absolutely, and it has changed for the good. There are opportunities that you can actually avail. People are not really scared to say yes to everything and anything that comes their way. I feel like a lot of people have become more open and more accepting. Initially, it used to be a little more critical, but now it has become, like a very accepting and an open role for people to, who want to become publicists and who want to become, strategic communication specialists.
So overall, the digital landscape has emerged to be for the better, both from the viewpoint of a publicist as well as from the viewpoint of the client, on which I'll come to you. Here we must talk about why it is so important for people in the marketing industry or publicists like him or like Reema, so as to engage their prospective clients in a way that they not only further their client's interests, the client's brand ideology, but at the same time they also are equally cognizant of social causes, because a lot of times we see that things which do hit people, more particularly young people like all of you, at least both of you here, those are the ones which are one way or the other socially motivated, and we have seen this trend just picking up not only here but in the West too.
First of all, it is very important for brands and the ideas to be socially motivated, and brands are actually working on them. For example, we have plenty of examples of the brands who are working on girls' education, who are actually raising the campaigns for women rights, for equality. There are so many cooking oil examples that we have. They are working on advertising the issues that were not addressed before. For example, child behavior. These are the points that were not addressed even before. So they are working on it, and eventually it is benefiting the brands itself, because the revenue and the reputation they are actually getting out of the idea and the concept.
So it's a win-win for the brands as well that way. Is this something brands like the ones that you work for generally in Pakistan, this is something that they are aware of? Because again, the examples that she mentioned appear to be a handful. We have seen very famous fashion designers actually dedicating their entire collections to social causes, one of which was, I remember, child marriage, then another was that of mental health too. But what about this becoming a commonality? So is this something which is very widely practiced in Pakistan, or is this something like which could possibly be considered to be an exception to the rule?
I guess this is a very positive approach to engage the clients and the society for our different categories, so that people can relate to it. It's easier for the people to see that these are the social issues that are going around in our society and they needs to be addressed. So we definitely design the collections targeting certain issues which engage our people, our client, and gives us a response that benefits the client and the brand as well.
Right.
So I guess it goes hand in hand. That
so in continuation to what you said then, with regards to taking care of the brand's image at one end, with regards to ensuring that you're true and authentic towards your brand, and at the other end also ensuring that you're furthering your commercial interests, how is it various designers make that pick? Because it could perhaps at times more than one be a difficult decision.
the uniqueness of the brand, and you have to be very optimistic, and you need to be very wise to pick the topic. You need a positive response from your client. So we work on this. Definitely we are making different categories, we are making different designs according to our clients, but there is always a room for one spark.
Right.
So we need to pick the right time and right moment and right category for that, so that we get a positive response from our clients.
Right. To which you wanted to add something.
Yes, absolutely. I would like to add that, mainly it is the job of a publicist as well to make sure that they educate their client about, what the campaign should be about. They should really not set any false expectations at all, and they should make it very clear that the campaign needs to be something which can be extremely relatable to the general public. It should be very exclusive. But also very inclusive, because they need to add everything for everyone. There should definitely be everything for every fraction of,
the Pakistani society.
And that is how a brand can definitely, put out a meaning to their collection and also have, you know, a lot of capital on that.
Right, that's very rightly put by yourself. On which I'll come to you, Ms. Reema. Here we must talk about your narrative on this as a senior publicist too. So as an accomplished publicist in your own right, how do you advise your clients that at one end they can choose to be authentic, rather they must be authentic in all cases, but at the same time they can also dare to be innovative?
Nowadays, everyone is in the race to score more likes and achieve higher shares on these platforms. The key is to be honest and transparent about the brand ideology and what it stands for. One has to have genuine following build up, which I personally feel comes when you and your brand's message is clear and it resonates with its ideology. People are very smart and observant these days, and the audience also keeps evolving. Hence one has to keep innovative methods. But again, being true to the brand's ideology and what it stands for and the presence that it holds. So you have to strike, you have to, and the only way you can strike a balance is when you are absolutely honest and transparent about what the brand stands for, what message it is imparting, and what it wants to achieve in the near future. So it is extremely important for being open and totally transparent to your audience, because that is the only way they will be drawn towards what a brand is saying and standing for, and what they want to achieve when they launch themselves.
Right, madam, your point is noted. Indeed, honesty is something which genuinely reflect not only in the PR strategy but also in the marketing campaigns too. Which takes me to you. Very important question which we must address then is that when we do talk about honesty, we understand that honesty in itself might perhaps come with a cost. So how do publicists like yourself at your end make that decision that yes, this is a situation in which you can afford to be honest with your client, and this is that one situation where perhaps diplomacy might work better?
Well, I would say that initially, we have to make sure that diplomacy comes into play whenever there is publicity involved. Whenever there is a client, you have to be very diplomatic. You have to be, very, very careful in your communication. But you also have to be honest, because that is something which can cost you a client. And in order to make sure that you have a long-term relationship with the client, you have to maintain a very, very good and honest relationship with them. The better part would be that you have to find a middle ground. You have to make sure that you set up a healthy boundary between being dishonest and being honest with your client and the market and everything. But you do have to be very, very strategic in that, and you have to make sure that there's a win-win situation for everyone, for the client and for the market involved, the society, the influencers, and everyone.
So even if you want to criticize something or you don't agree with the client, then that needs to be done in a very intelligent, constructive manner. But one thing here, which is that we also see over a period of time, because of the influx of technology and social media now, generally the efficiency of the PR industry, marketing specialists, that has also increased. And this is something that we see in other quarters of the society too, because now that you have technology on your side, you can get things done perhaps more efficiently, more quickly. But what is the downside of completely relying on technology? Because we also understand the fact that this comes with its own baggage.
Well, absolutely. I feel like the thing is that with the advent of technology and everything that is, switching to AI these days, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. A lot of people are going to be unemployed, which is, definitely a sad thing. Other than that, we live in a country where there's a lot of internet issues. There are a lot of times when we do not have electric supply at all. That delays the work to a greater extent. But we also have to look at the pros, right? That this actually has, led to, a very, very, enzymatic reaction where we are able to get the work done in a very good pace, and we're able to get it, done like within like the matter of minutes or seconds.
Right, Joshua, your point is noted, on which I'll come to you. Here we must take your narrative too. So looking at this whole debate from the viewpoint of an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, what do you feel have been the advantages and what do you feel have been the disadvantages with regards to promoting your brand, promoting your business through social media?
Alright, so Fatma, I think everything comes with pros and cons. Everything has its good and bad sides. In the same way, at the end of the day, social media is a platform. It is a tool that people use, and they use it according to their perception, how they use it, how they observe stuff, and how they perceive the things that are happening around them. So if we talk about people and the advantages and disadvantages, it has provided so many advantages to the people. We can see women are always under the discussion when it comes to earning. So this social media thing has given them opportunity to earn from their homes. If we talk about other people, everybody can earn now through social media. And yes, but if we talk about the disadvantages, I think it has increased the competition. People are more frustrated now. They actually follow the lifestyle, they try to follow the things that other people are doing.
But one thing I feel which has worked out for the better is the fact that there is now more focus on the consumer, on the consumer's intentions, on the consumer's preferences, and this is something perhaps which we didn't see a few years ago, because now it is all about making the consumer happy, and social media has just facilitated that process. But coming towards you, Asma, I think here you would also have a very important narrative to add, because working as a creative designer for a fashion brand, it's also very important then brands like the ones that you work for, they ensure that they have that two-way communication with the users. One positive which has emerged because of usage of social media platforms is the fact that overall we see that there is more focus on basically satisfying the consumer now, which perhaps might not have been the case before. So as a creative designer for a renowned fashion brand, would you agree with this?
Definitely, there is a lot of pressure on us as we talk to our customers on daily basis. We get the feedback, we get the good reviews and everything. We get to know what the consumer's demand is. And when we compare our brand with other brands, so there's we have to be on our toes all the time. We have to think big, we have to be very creative, we have to be cost effective as well. It's not a small business, it's a big brand. So when there are a lot of people are involved, then you have to look after multiple things. It's in terms of the costing, the behaviors, the people demand, everything, and you have to look after the production, the sampling, the designing, creative
would
side.
this not then add to the cost as well? Because if you're marketing your product, if you're hiring publicists too, then that of course adds to the budget of any brand or any business.
Definitely.
So that is in itself is another concern that brands need to be very aware of.
Then we have to be very wise to pick what to pick and what not to pick. And we have to cater the masses, then we have to make a certain exclusive collection for niche class. So we are working in different directions, and there is a lot of competition nowadays. As social media, there are a lot of brands. There are online brands, there are the brands who are working from big companies. So I guess it's a healthy competition as well. It's up to you how you take the things forward.
Right. On which I'll come to you, Ms. Reema. Here we must take your narrative too. Now we understand over a period of time we have seen that with regards to attendance at the fashion week, the seating preferences have changed, more so tilting towards having younger people seated in the front seats. And they say, and this is something which is being put out, that younger bloggers or younger modern influencers have that capacity to perhaps cover such fashion weeks in a better manner. So with regards to publicists like yourself entrusted with this duty of ensuring that the right people get to sit on the right places, how do you manage this? Because I'm sure there might be criticism from other quarters so as to ensure that people who are established, who are senior in the fashion industry, they get their due importance too with regards to the seating preferences.
Fashion shows and the constant row politics or front row politics, well, it happens everywhere, I think. But in my opinion, firstly, I still think that the people who have made the industry and who are the ones which are leaving legacies for the younger generation to follow, and therefore are to be given due respect when they are in attendance. So, I think they should definitely be seated in the front row, because they are who have brought up the industry, who are bringing new things to the table, and they are your seniors. So you must respect those people for sure. Secondly, young blood keeps bringing new things to the table, whether in form of being a designer or an influencer. They have carved their niche to the much coveted front row seat as well. I believe in making sure that the gurus of the fashion industry, along with the ones who are shining and new, should be given you know opportunity to the front rows. Definitely seat them up. They will use different platforms. It's all about social media these days. What you see, you buy. What you see, you like. What somebody recommends is what you have to have. Definitely, you have to mix the young and the old blood together. The old learns from the younger, and the younger learns from the people who've already been in the industry, and they can further enhance the designer or brand's image via these platforms.
And that's very rightly put by yourself, because ideally the approach would then be to balance this in favor of both the younger modern influencers alongside the more senior people in the industry. But moving on, another question that I would want to put to you is the fact that we have seen that during COVID-19 and even post COVID-19, there were instances where we saw, because of fashion weeks going virtual, there were quite a few designers who ended up styling most of their models remotely, and they even made them do shoots remotely too. So in cases like these, how would you then see Pakistan's PR industry being redefined in the light of COVID-19? Because we have seen COVID-19 redefining so many other strata, so many other industries in the country too.
COVID. Well, COVID really did a number, not only on the PR industry, but I think all over. It has impacted everything while it was there, and still the residues are still felt. They're still going on. Business is not the way it was before, especially for publicists and PR industry, because all our events were based on social interaction and the presence of the people, and the number of people attending the event would make or break the event. So yes, COVID really did a number on it, but in this as well, a lot of things shown, like people evolved in their thought process. So the idea of doing virtual events came into light. These events were sort of new, so everybody was a little initially apprehensive, but I think everybody caught on to it. It's not been very easy, but it's been something that was the need of the hour at that time. So in such times, the PR industry evolved by using the social media platforms to the max. Designers and publicists sat together, strategized to reach the audiences via social media platforms. They sort of thought and talked about how and what they could do to use these platforms to reach the audiences, because obviously, like us, the audiences are also affected by not being able to go out, buy their favorite thing or see their favorite movie and everything. So everybody was tied down. So I think it helped them to see this new way of looking at things via these platforms. And similarly, the designers and brands, they started, being more, sort of creative into grasping the attention of the audiences, and making sure that their brand ideology was passed on to them, and they could, easily get their hands on their products. Not only that, but could have a visual treat while looking at TVCs or different ways advertising that came into light for them through this platform.
Right, madam. So basically, all in all, then the complete dynamics of Pakistan's PR industry, we have seen it changing over a period of time, more so post-COVID. On which I'll come to you. I think one thing which I would want to add here is the fact that perhaps because of these changes, we did see if they were then cutting down on their budget, they might also be cutting down on their publicist or on their marketing experts too, because there was this time, it did take an economic toll on all of us, and this was something that we didn't see only in Pakistan but world over. So how do you, as a young publicist, in contrast to what she said, see Pakistan's PR industry being impacted post-COVID? Because you would have your own narrative on this.
Okay, so post-COVID, the entire PR industry has become very, very welcoming to the fact that we can all work remotely. We can all just manage things without having to show up in meetings in person. We can all just manage it, using emails. And I keep telling people that, the only constant in life is change. So definitely we have to adapt. There were major cut downs when it comes to earnings. A lot of people had considerable dent on their earnings, and definitely we as people, we have to keep understanding the fact that it was a pandemic. It affected people world over. It was something we all were affected globally.
Right, and not just the PR industry, so many other industries
not just
too.
the PR industry, literally every single industry, was affected very, very adversely due to COVID. And the fact that we have more things which we can do virtually now. We can use social media sitting from any corner of the world, and we can just work. That is something which has made life for a lot of people very convenient, and it has made working, very, very convenient and comfortable for people.
But you see, again, then these are those people who have those requisite skills so as to redefine themselves. What about those people, Joshua, who don't have access to technology? What about those people who might have access to technology, but they might not know how to utilize it? So in a way, I think it would be correct to say then, in light of what both of you said, that it's important to revamp yourself, to work on your skill development here.
Absolutely. I feel like in order to stay credible, in order to stay, relevant, you just have to make sure that you're constantly learning, right? Because life is a process and journey in itself. You just have to make sure that you're always learning new skills. You're always, upgrading yourself. You're
that too, with the influx of so many social media platforms. We've recently seen like Threads, that has basically taken the internet by storm. But do you as a publicist believe, with the influx of more and more social media platforms coming in, that room for traditional marketing, that room for traditional PR strategists like yourself, that is going to shrink, because people will automatically move on to the newer things, which means the traditional roles, the traditional media platforms, they will go at the back seat?
Well, traditional media platforms are not really going to go anywhere as of now. For the foreseeable future, I do believe that they're all going to be utilized simultaneously, as well as the new platforms, because an influencer or a content creator or a blogger will have following in all the places, right? And that is what brands want. They want to work with people who have following on any platform. For example, we have people who have a very huge following on Instagram, and we really want to work with them. But then we also find someone who has a very large following on TikTok or Twitter, or perhaps Facebook or YouTube.
Right, Joshua, we will talk about this, but before that I would want you to comment on this further. Now, we have spoken about the role of bloggers and modern day influencers, and we understand that today, as we do study marketing, they are a very important part of brands' marketing strategies. At one end, we understand that these bloggers, they do promote very real and relatable content, but at the other end, they are also criticized promoting content which they genuinely don't believe in, which perhaps might not be authentic. So as an entrepreneur, how do you feel can we take care of such conflicting concerns?
First of all, I don't think so that so much bloggers are doing stuff like this, that they are doing it solely for money, and they are doing the stuff that they do not believe in. Because personally, I have experienced so many things that now bloggers and the social activists and vloggers, they're actually coming with the point that to show what is it, how is it. I have seen so many, I personally know so many bloggers who have rejected the fact that they would not promote any thing. For example, these beauty skin treatments and beauty skin creams, they only do things which they believe. I think social media has given the
They are
opportunity.
more conscious
yes,
that way.
To things to be very organic. They're actually playing their part in things to be very organic and inclusive. And at the end of the day, if they are doing it for money and if they're doing something for money, I think that is their digital earning. They're earning out of it. If they do something for money, so I don't think so that it is solely wrong to criticize it. And
because then the responsibility goes back to the blogger here. They need to be very cognizant. They need to ensure that they perhaps put on disclaimers saying that yes, this is something which is sponsored. So whoever is seeing it, they know that this is an honest review of the product that they've reviewed. On which I'll come to you. Here we must take your narrative too with regards to influencer marketing. So when brands like yourself engage bloggers, when they engage influencers, what are those factors that you keep in mind? Because solely it must just be the following of that one particular blogger. There might perhaps more qualitative factors too, which brands do give due consideration.
We plan everything, which blogger or influencer we want to hire for certain campaign. So it can target our certain target market and we can get the response. Some of the influencers are hired as paid influencers just for the PR package and they can give you the review. But we make sure that whatever garment we send them, that's the actual same garment that we have made in our production. That's the actual garment. It's not just for the hype, it's not just for the good reviews. It's the same product that should be catered to our consumers. So that is, some of the garments are like, or reviews are from the PR, are paid. Obviously, we all do it. We are in business.
But do you not feel here that, you know, brands like yourself, they should ideally also vest the bloggers with that discretion so as to review rather your brands more honestly, which might perhaps come with some level of criticism?
Definitely, they have the freedom of choice. They give us their feedback. They tell us that this is the product that we want to wear. You can give us as a PR. Then we get the negative response as well. But I guess criticism should be taken in a healthy way. It's very important for a brand to grow on a healthy level by taking the criticism positively. We learn from our mistakes. We are a brand, we all make mistakes. But definitely our clients, our influencers, PR persons, they all are a team. So we definitely try to cater them according to their taste, their values, their choices. So that's a very fun thing to do, I guess, and we try to make everybody comfortable in whatever they are wearing, and we try to make the things according to their choice.
Right, Asma. To which you wanted to add something?
I think this is a particular point that is keeping brands on track, that is keeping brands online, because they're well aware of the fact that everything is monitored. They know that people are smart, they know what is right, what is wrong. Particularly keeping bloggers and blogger in mind, they have the fair idea that they will definitely highlight the points which are wrong. So that is the thing that makes it a very healthy competition, and market and industry are healthy, and making it inclusive as well as organic, compel them to, you know, follow the organic patterns of life.
Which I'll come to you, Ms. Reema. Here we must all talk about the challenges which publicists like yourself face. And in this regard, I would like to quote the findings of a survey which very clearly states that 49% of marketing and PR specialists, they assert the fact that one challenge that they do constantly face is the fact they not only need help with regards to constantly identifying, but also keeping to pace their clients' various changing social media needs. With the influx of different social media platforms over a period of time, this issue has definitely become more pertinent. So as a senior publicist in your own right, would you agree with this?
You know, I believe in teamwork, and teamwork is very important. Everybody plays key roles into different aspects when they are dealing with, you know, a brand. A publicist will bring his, you know, opinions and suggestions. The designer or the brand or the business, any client, they will have their own. And similarly, the person who is responsible for putting all these ideas and suggestions into motion are the ones who are, you know, making the content. So it has to be a definite teamwork. If anybody lacks in any particular field, that is a mixture of disaster. So the challenges that I feel that you know, we face from time to time is when, you know, the brand's ideology, the message, and the content that is being created does not resonate with it, and sometimes the suggestions are totally overlooked because one party thinks that no, they know everything and they are right. So I think everybody needs to put in their best foot forward and bring things to the table where, in a unified manner, it can benefit the brand.
That's very right, because at the end of the day, teamwork is something which is the way forward, on which I'll come to you. And moving towards the end of the show, here we must talk about overall improving the quality, the level of service, the standard of service, so to speak, of the PR industry. Now, considering that you've had an international client portfolio, you've had that opportunity to be a publicist not only for many famous Pakistani celebrities, but also you've worked abroad in this regard too. How do you propose can we as a nation work to improve our PR industry, be it in terms of having perhaps better policies, be it in terms of having perhaps a better support from the state, or for that matter even self-regulation, usage of ethical practices from within the industry itself?
I feel like a lot of our publicists need to educate their content creators and influencers which are on their lists, that they need to be very, very grounded, they need to be very ethical, they need to make sure that they promote stuff only which is, you know, holistic. Overall, they need to make sure that it's not causing any harm to anyone, and it's not just going to, you know, be detrimental to their audience. They need to make sure that they portray a very, very honest image of the product, of you know, any article or product or any consumable that they have been sent. They also need to make sure that their content is very innovative and it's very captivating.
That's very rightly put by yourself, because then at the end of the day the responsibility goes back to the PR company or the publicist per se, because they in themselves need to be very updated so as to be able to ensure that they are keeping up to date with the client's preferences and their wants. On which I'll come to you, Faryal, and before we conclude today's show, here we must also talk about the need for there to be a basic level of education, a basic level of being taught to prospective publicists, to prospective people who want to join the marketing industry in the country. So considering we have seen Pakistan's curriculum evolve over a period of time, be it in terms of addition of animal welfare, be it in terms of addition of life skill based education, do you not feel that this is also an area that we perhaps could tap on?
Exactly, definitely. I think this is a point that we need to consider very seriously, just like the other fields and other profession, because see, this is a digital world now. We need to go forward, move forward with the patterns that are happening and that people are following in present time. So this is a particular thing that should be included in a you know, base curriculum, in a base, so that our children can learn it step by step. This is a new field for the people who are coming in this particular profession, so they are just unaware of the fact that how to start, what to do, what not to do, what are the, you know, concerns and challenges. To cater the problem, we need to include and try to inculcate this particular thing from base. We need to give them direction step by step, and I think a state should cooperate on this particular thing. They should, you know, collaborate with colleges, with university to work on this field and to educate them.
That's very rightly put by yourself, Ms. Faryal. But coming towards you, Asman, before we conclude today's show, how do you propose can we make the common person out there aware of not only the very fundamentals of marketing and PR, other than ensuring that it does become part of the school curriculum, but at the same time also ensure that when it comes to working together, be it the marketing specialist, be it the PR specialist, they all work together in uniformity and cohesion?
I guess it's very important as an organization. We can teach our the people we hire, we can teach them according to the PR and the marketing skills, because it's very important now. They don't have the education up to that mark, but with the passage of the time and with the experience, we can introduce them to the different tools, to the different programs, the softwares that are involved in this, but it helps them. I guess there are many things that we are lacking at the moment, but when we enter the practical life and we enter the job session, then we get to experience things on a different level. So that exposure is different, and it has a different value as well. So with the passage of the time, when you practically practice them, it's a different impact on the people around you. You learn a lot of things and you evolve with them.
Right. So you not only need to make that difference very clear in your mind, but you also need to ensure that you're working with the other respective specialists in cohesion. Right, madam. On which I'll come to you, Ms. Reema, and before we conclude today's show, your last concluding comment, which I would want to have, taking benefit from your seniority as a publicist, my question to you would be that what are the do's and what are the don'ts that you would want to advise to those aspiring to actually enter this industry? Because at least from a bystander viewpoint, it looks all very glamorized, but we do also understand the fact that all this glamour, all this success, it does come with a cost.
PR. Well, PR looks really glamorous from the outside when people are looking from afar, but let me tell you, it comes with its own challenges. But for all those interested in pursuing a career in PR, here are a few things that I would definitely suggest. A is not to lose sight of what and who you are. Foremost, it's very easy to sway from the reality and get caught up in the glitz and glamour. So be true to yourself and your work. Be honest to your work. Do not let the success go to your head. One has to be, patient and tolerant towards one another, because, everybody is on the high when things are happening, when things are not moving on time. You're on a timeline, you're on a schedule, and there are delays or something or the other. So you have to keep a very cool head. So you have to make sure easily, rise, soar high, and then fall on the ground really hard. Secondly, I feel that it's very important to keep the emotional and public sentiments in check when proposing a campaign for a brand or client. One cannot be insensitive to the cultural boundaries, so always keep a clear picture in your head and stand true to the brand message. This is something that I feel that you have to be. You cannot be insensitive towards people's sentiments. No, not at all. You have to keep all of these things in mind, and I think success will follow you only if you are extremely humble and honest towards your work.
Right, Ms. Reema, your point is noted. On which note, I would like to conclude today's show. Thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you so much, Ms. Faryal. Thank you so much, Ms. Asma. And thank you so much, Ms. Reema, for your precious time today. Well, to conclude today's show, we generally spoke about the ever-changing dynamics of both the PR and the marketing industry in the country. We also spoke about the need for there to be a very authentic and, of course, a very transparent relationship between the client and the brand. In this regard, whereas, of course, brands are using social media, they are using advancements in technology so as to further their commercial interests. What they must not, of course, ignore are social causes too. On that note, signing off for today. Until next time, take care and Allah Hafiz.